Everyone can relax. It's your boy, Griff Galexxzee. You just gotta have a good time. Just groove. Let all that stress go away. Listen.
I gave her money, I gave her time. And tell me something, girl, what's on your mind? This isn't fair. What about me? You take advantage. You're out of line. Wanna see you groove. Just have a good time. Just have a good time. Just have a good time. Up and down, 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 down. Groove with me. Up and down, 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 down. Groove with me. Groove with me, me. Groove with me. Groove with me, me. Groove with me. Gonna make a change right away. Gonna do my thing right away. This ain't a game. I don't play when you're in pain. It's not okay. Get on the floor right away. Problems come, they don't stay. Just have a good time. Just have a good time. Just have a good time. Up and down, 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 down. Groove with me. Up and down, 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 down. Groove with me. Groove with me, me. Groove with me, Groove with me, me. Groove with me.
Oh, wow, everybody. Welcome to Planet Lizzdom. I really wanted to start this episode with that video for you because it's setting the tone for a very special Christmas episode that I'm bringing to you guys this week. You know, I gotta say, I love when the universe sends me lovely gifts and wonderful surprises. And I gotta tell you, Griff Galexxzee is definitely one of them. We met through a mutual friend back in the summer, and I really dug his vibe, and I got to know him as a person over the last few months. But it wasn't until November that I discovered what a musician he is. I had never heard his music until one moment where I saw someone breakdancing in the middle of an intersection to one of his tracks. And I have to tell you, I was blown away. I'm still blown away by his immense talent and his really humble personality. And I'm so honored to really introduce you to the delight and the genius that is Griff Galexxzee. Everybody, give him a big, warm welcome. Griff, hello.
Hello, Liz. Thank you for having me.
I've got the best goosebumps right now. Your music is just amazing. Thank you for being with us today.
It's my pleasure. It's an honor, and I'm really happy to be on. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm trying to play a bit of your album in the background here. I'm still kind of learning how to find the right volume. I hope everybody can hear it. But for those who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to share. So Griff Galexxzee, as you all know the name, so I'm, just one of those guys that are very humble, and I love music. Music has always been a part of me, like growing up. Like my sister, she used to play like records back when I was like maybe 5 or 6 of just like different artists like Michael Jackson and U2 and just a combination of different musicians. And that was something that I grew up with. So I'm one of those guys who just loves to create, and I love people as well too. And that's always been my thing. And I've come from humble beginnings, right? So this pandemic has really got me to get back into what I enjoy doing and what I love doing, which is actually music, because I did take a little bit of a breather from it, and I'm happy to be doing it again. So,
And thank you so much for doing it because really you are so talented. I have to tell everybody,
thank you.
your album Facts Over Feelings is quite frankly outstanding. And I'm not saying that I'm the greatest critic of music, but I know what I like, and I have to say every single track is radio playable. Like let me find the album cover to show everybody. Please, if you all go to Spotify right now and add this album, you will not be disappointed. Every single track is so strong. Like how did you get to this? It's amazing.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. And you know what was interesting? Like I started off actually as a rapper. So when I did start as a rapper, I was going by another name actually. DCG was my original stage name. And what it actually stood for was Dark Chocolate Griff, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it was something that I grew up around, like some of my friends that I went to school with. They were all into rapping, and that's how I actually got into it. I always loved music in general, but just being around that environment of friends who were like rapping and like pushing me outside my comfort zone. So that's how I actually got into the artist side of things. And, from there, things kind of changed a little bit where I was always interested in other genres of music. So the Facts Over Feelings was just like the different side of me that I thought I experiment, right? Because I've always been the type to dabble in different sounds here and there. But it wasn't until this album, actually, I decided I'm going to go into that pop element, a little bit of funk, and experiment and see what happens. And so far, the reviews have been great. Like the feedback has been great. So I'm very grateful and really blessed it turned out for the better.
Absolutely. I mean, let's look at some stats here, shall we? And they're probably a lot higher than what I've screenshot. But so far, what I can see, you're at 42,162 all-time streams for your release. And, Spotify is showing some really great numbers here, like 128 countries, 58,000 streams now. Like, that blows my mind.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And you know what's interesting? Like I didn't expect it to get as many streams, because when you're an independent artist, like one of the challenge I find is marketing and actually getting your music out there for the masses to hear it. And, it was interesting how it was. I just put it out there. I got like a distribution with DistroKid, and I put it out there, and sort of posted things on my story on Instagram, and people just found the music, and I was blown away by it because I don't actually have like a manager, or I don't have like a promoter or anything like that, but the word has gone around, and I'm just very grateful for that, because that was just in a matter of 2 months that I had that amount of streams, and I never thought I would actually get to that level, because even when I was rapping, before I decided to go by Griff Galexxzee and I was going by DCG, back then it was like late 2000s, 2010. And, not many people heard my stuff, and it sort of went under the radar. Right. So right from there, I was just like blown away that people have found my music and the word has got out, and I'm getting more positive feedback than I ever had in my career. So it's just been really a blessing.
That is just so wonderful to hear, and so empowering to hear, because as an independent artist, you feel like sometimes, or at least I feel like sometimes, you're making all this wonderful art and nobody's hearing it. And the fact that on a grassroots level, folks are connecting with you, not through marketing, not through any record label propaganda, none of it. It's strictly your talent and your production value that's propelling it forward. And I think that's a really, really big deal, especially in this day and age.
Oh, thank you. We really, really appreciate it. And, it's just one of those industries, I find, music in general, or any kind of entertainment that you're doing, that, there's so many factors that are involved with it, right? Like getting your music out there and connecting with people on a personal level. And that's something I always try to do. Like, I'm not really much of a person that has gimmicks or anything along those lines. It's just, a regular person, just to show people that you can chase your dreams, right? You don't have to be this spectacular, sort of person just to achieve your goals, right? You just have to have the right mindset to go after it. And that was something that I've actually been focusing on during the pandemic, is developing my mind, right? A little more, like a lot of self-help books, getting a mentor to kind of coach me in different ways and figure things out in life, right? Because once you have the right mindset, you can apply it to anything, not just music, whether it's your corporate job or if you're starting a business. You just need the right mindset, and you can achieve anything, right? So
absolutely. And that's something that I kind of wanted to touch on, so thank you for bringing it up. In terms of mindset, that's how you and I really became friends, because your outlook is so motivational and so
thank you.
Humble. And I think humility is a really important thing here, because the whole team element is really how we're gonna move forward, because we all rise together. And I feel like I found a kindred spirit in you with that.
Thank you.
With your with your production, how did you get from writing your material and coming up with these songs to what you have now?
Yeah, it's actually been an interesting journey. So I'll take you back quite some time ago. Like a lot of my good friends, like my best friends in junior high, they were always just into writing. They were rappers. I think this was back in like grade 9. And for myself, I was always reserved and shy, right? I never was the type to actually, go in front of like a camera, for example, or even just perform or anything along those lines. I was always the guy in the background watching others do their thing. And, there was this one time, like all of us were in my brother's basement. We were just all hanging out. And my brother used to have like this karaoke machine where you could just record on tapes and CDs. I don't think many people know what CDs are nowadays, but right, it's a little bit. That's kind of dating myself there a little bit, but the interesting thing about it is like there was like I think 5 or 6 of us, and there was one of my friends. He was actually my neighbor at the time. I don't know what it was. I think he was either like drunk or high or combination of both. But he decided to lock all of us in. He was like, nobody is leaving this room until everybody writes something. And, it was pretty dramatic, right? He's like, I don't care. I don't give a what, that he just was like, no one's leaving this room, right? So
Okay.
I'm looking around, and my friends who are rappers, right? They were just like writing like no problem, no issue, because that's what they did. And for
Yeah.
myself and my other buddies, we were kind of like, what are we gonna write about, right? And I just attempted something, right? Because he's like, I don't care if you're an artist or not, you're gonna write something. And I actually wrote something. I can't even remember the exact words, but I was reading it out, and people are like, "Whoa, this is pretty good. You have a good talent for writing." So from there, that's when I was like, okay, maybe I'll start writing a little bit more. And the funny thing is, even though I was writing, I still wasn't actually recording. But
Okay.
then my friends were like pushing me into doing it, because that's what they did. They would rap on other people's demos. And they're like, this is your brother's karaoke machine, and you're not even using it. Like, just say something, just do it, right? So it's kind of like peer pressure in a way, which turned out to
Yeah.
be a blessing. And I started doing it, and people are like, oh, you have some talent. There's a few things that needed to be tweaked, because I used to write just pages and pages of lyrics, right? And there is no stopping point, right? So
Okay.
one of my buddies, he actually coached me how to write a song, where you start with the verse, then you do the chorus, and then sometimes there's a bridge, and then a second verse. So he gave me the structure, how to write songs properly. So I started doing that, and then he was looking to get into a studio to record, like a professional studio. So I ran into this guy at a gym I was going to, and I was talking to him about finding a studio. And there was a guy who overheard what I was saying to this person about getting a studio, and he was pretty persistent. He's like, "My brother has a studio, and you should check it out." And then I would come the next day. He was like, "Did you check my brother's studio out yet?" Like, he gave me the business card. He was like very persistent. Then I realized it was probably a way of the universe telling me, okay, the sign is right in front of you. So why not take him up on that offer? So I ended up went to that studio, and I decided to test out the sound quality. So I ended up recording, and the engineer, TJ, he was like, "Wow, that's amazing. You have some talent. You should keep going." So I started going regularly, and it wasn't really for me at first, but then it turned out that I enjoyed it, and I was encouraged to keep coming back to his studio, and the rest was like history from there, right? To start in the industry.
That's amazing. I mean, you're so fortunate to find engineers and producers who are capable and interested in working with you, because it's not always easy to get that production value right out the gate.
Yeah.
And that's what really struck me about your music. The production value is so crisp. Like, oh, so good. So,
Thank you.
kudos to your engineers and your producers. Like, well job, like
Thanks so
job well
much.
done.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And that's the thing about being online, like just this internet, right? You could reach people from all over the world. So the producers, what's interesting, like with this actual album, Facts Over Feelings, I did
Yeah.
everything out of the norm. Like, normally when people have an album, they stick with maybe a couple of producers, maybe like 3 or 4 producers. But
Okay.
I decided to do 20 different producers, um, just completely, so just to have the sound to sound different from the other song, right? Because nothing's worse when you buy an album and each song sounds exactly the same, right? So I wanted to make sure that didn't happen, and I had 20 different producers work on this projects, like getting their production. So
Okay.
yeah.
That makes sense, because I did listen to I have been listening to this album quite a bit, and you're right, there are a lot of different styles in it. And actually, Donna's asking a really great question. She's saying, "What's your favorite rhyme that you've recorded so far?" Do you
Oh,
have one?
that is actually a very good question. So I have actually a lot of songs. I maybe have a catalog of 200 songs. Um, so one line that I had, it's actually from a rap song. I say something like, "I'm the hottest in the game, but wait, how do you determine who is the hottest in the game? All the politics are the same. Had me shaking like I'm nervous, overhype an artist that doesn't deserve it." So that was like one of the lines that I really liked, because it talks about a little bit about artists who, that are maybe have a little bit more backing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them come across as like, I'm the best in the world, right? Very confident, and sometimes can come across very cocky, right? But I feel like everyone has different tastes and different style. So how do you determine like who's the best artist, or, you know, who's not the best, not so great of an artist, right? It's like different flavors, right? So I feel that line kind of pointed that out, that everyone has different taste in music.
Well, it's true. You know, it's funny how bravado very often gets misunderstood as coming across as conceit. You know,
Yeah.
and very often that happens when someone doesn't, or at least in my experience, it happens when I don't understand what I'm listening to, or it's not necessarily my taste. But if
Yep.
I'm really feeling the vibe, I'm like, yeah, bring on the bravado. You know, hype
Yeah.
yourself. Let's do this. Let's do this. But if I'm not really into it, all of a sudden I'm just like, ah, next. You know?
Exactly, right. And it's
Yeah.
just one of those things, right, where everyone has different opinions or different tastes, right? Because if somebody drew a number 6 in the middle of the street, you're standing on one end, the person standing on the other end. To them, it may look like a 9, and to you, it may look like a 6, right? So in a way, nobody's really wrong. It's just different perspective, right? So that's kind of how I look at things.
Yeah. That's, you know what, that's a really great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of street, I want to play this little clip that you sent me. This is how I was introduced to your music, because you had been advertising Facts Over Feelings, and it was on my list to listen to, but I hadn't gotten around to it. And this fell into my lap randomly, and I want everyone to hear this, because what struck me about this is that someone was so into your music that they started dancing in the middle of the street.
When the lights go off and the sun goes down, I will fight alone. When the lights go off, when the lights go off.
Like,
Yeah.
I get goosebumps. Like, that's just so wicked.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He's actually from Russia, right? And
Oh,
yeah, so just to see that was very encouraging, because, you know, people from all over the world are being touched by what I created. And for this actual album, I wrote like all the lyrics. Like I put a lot of thought into some of the songs. Like that song "When the Lights," it talks a little bit about depression that people are going through, especially during the pandemic, right?
yeah.
The life they once knew is no longer the same. So that's almost like grieving in a way. So "When the Lights" talks a little bit about that, and overcoming and battling the darkness. And for somebody in Russia to relate to it and come up with a dance for it, that was when he sent that to me, I was blown away. I was like, wow, that was pretty cool, actually.
Griff, I have even bigger goosebumps. I didn't realize that was out of Russia. I just thought that was maybe Scarborough, or
Yeah.
Quebec, or somewhere in Canada. Like, I'm blown away by that. I mean, there right there is the power of music, art, and technology coming together and connecting us, you know. And that's something that I'm always talking about on Planet Lizzdom. You know, we have the ability to connect again. You know, the internet has divided us so much, but we actually have the opportunity to connect again. And that is so powerful, and so important to know that someone you don't know in Russia loved
Yeah.
your music and connected with it that much that they created art.
Yeah, it blew me away. And you know, it's funny that you said Scarborough, because somebody messaged me. They're like, is that person from Toronto, or, you know, or somewhere in the city? And I was like, no, Russia. Right. So it's so crazy how far music can travel. Like I didn't even think about it. Right. And just to see that, it's blew me away. So I had to just share that and post it on Facebook and Instagram. Right. Just because I was impressed.
128 countries right there, you know. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what the origin for the title of your album Facts Over Feelings is about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where
I'm
did that
glad
come
you
from?
asked that. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because a lot of the times, you know, we let our feelings take over. And, you know, facts are basically things that you can't really change. They're there. And one thing you can change is actually your feelings. Like there's two things you have control over, is your action and your attitude. So when I was coming up with this album, there was a lot of things going on. It was during the period of, you know, the Black Lives Matter, and, you know, there was just different chaos, just the world going on, right? And the pandemic was starting as well too, and there's like so many things that were out of our control that was going on. And I thought it would be good to have an album where it's like, okay, here are the facts and these are your feelings, right? So the feelings again are the things that you could control, and sometimes with our feelings they take over, right? And when you let your feelings take over, it's hard to make conscious decisions on what you can do to better your life or move forward, because your emotions are just taking over and it's hard for you to kind of figure things out. So that's why I wanted to emphasize like facts over the feelings, because the facts are the things that can't be changed, right? So that's how I kind of came up with that idea.
Well, I'm really happy to say that Spotify just randomly put that exact track on for us. Facts over
Oh,
feelings.
perfect.
You know, and you're absolutely right. You know, it's so funny how in this day and age we have so much access to information, and we could be so intelligent, and yet we can be so emotionally tone deaf. You know,
Yes.
it's wild to me still. You know, like I grew up in the 70s. Well, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. You know, I guess I come from a very different generation, but I still have to check myself. You know, I still have to step
Yes.
back and just kind of do the whole facts over feelings. You know, like what's going on here. So
Yes.
I really, really appreciate that. I do want to continue talking about that. I do have to play a couple of commercials first, but hold
Sure.
that thought, facts over feelings. We are not done discussing that.
All right.
Hey everyone! Planet Lizzdom now has a Patreon. Your help will allow Liz to make the show even bigger, cover costs, and help bring on celebrity guests. Go to patreon.com/Planet Lizzdom and pledge now.
Yes, folks, there is a season 2 coming up, so I wanted to play that commercial and premiere it tonight. As you can see, my musical tastes are pretty eclectic. You know, I can go from punk to hip hop pretty fast. And you know, I have to say, Donna's made a really, really good point. She said, "You're making me think of Tears for Fears and how they wove quite psychological themes throughout their music." And I do notice a theme running through the things that you're writing. You know, facts over feelings. What was the timeline for writing that?
Yeah, so it's a good thing that that was brought up there about Tears for Fears, because they're actually one of my influences growing up, because I grew up in the 80s as well. So, you
I
know,
love my audience. You guys are amazing.
they're fantastic. Like that is one of my influences. I forgot to actually bring that up. So, you know, so that's nailed it right on the head there. So, yeah, but you know, the actual process for this album, Facts Over Feelings, started during the pandemic, because, you know, during the pandemic when it first started, there is really nowhere to go. As you know, in Toronto, we really had that lockdown going on, and there wasn't many places that were open. And this is where I was, you know, got back into music again, because what ended up happening, there's like another story behind it where why I actually stopped doing music. Like I was doing, you know, I was in the hip hop and things like that. And then, you know, it didn't pan out at first when I first came out. So I just went the corporate route, took maybe a 6-year hiatus pretty much. And then during the pandemic, I realized music was something that I enjoyed doing. So that's where I started writing for this album, and started connecting with different producers around the world. And the inspiration started during the pandemic. So it started from when it first started. I think it was like March of 2020 up on till I released it. I think I ended up finishing it August of 2021. Well, I actually ended up getting sick. You know, I'm pretty sure I might have had COVID, I'm sure, but it was unfortunate. So there was a little bit of a delay. And then I was able to, you know, finish it off, get back in the studio once I got my voice back, and finish the rest of the album off and release it like Thanksgiving. So
not only are you rapping, but you're singing as well.
yep, that's
That's your
correct.
thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
So
so, but I didn't want to assume. But man, like, has anybody made any musical comparisons to your, to your style and your whole genre?
yeah, you know what's interesting? I've gotten so many different comparisons. When I was rapping, someone told me I sound a little bit like Kendrick Lamar. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Okay.
in terms of singing, I've gotten one person said Michael Jackson, which blew me away. I'm like, that guy is on his own level. I don't think I'm even close to that. So one person said Michael Jackson mixed with Vibe Cartel. Another person said Pharrell Williams. Another person said Akon.
Okay.
Usher. One person said Usher. So it was all over the place, the comparisons. And I think what it is, because I'm a multi-genre artist, I love to
Yeah.
experiment with a lot of different sounds. So sometimes it's kind of hard for people to pinpoint who I sound like. So those were like just some of the names that I was told that, oh, your style sounds like this person a little bit. And another group called Ride It. I haven't really heard too much about them, a group called Ride It, but
Okay.
yeah, that was the other thing as well too. So it's all over the place.
I'm going to throw in my my connections here because I love that someone said Michael Jackson, and the reason that I love that is that, and I know this is going to sound really, really crazy, but there were two artists that came to mind when I started listening to your music. The Weeknd.
Oh,
Your vocal range is very, very warm like his, and Quincy Jones, who actually produced Michael Jackson.
oh, hey, that's
I
cool.
know that's a really big name to kind of compare you to, but I really do believe that you
Oh,
are
thank you.
actually in that territory.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm flattered.
I mean, that's another reason why I'm so happy to have you on the show because, oh, Griff, you are really talented. Holy
Thank
crap.
you. You know what's funny? You know, when you said Quincy, I remember somebody also saying Barry White. So I was like, that was the other comparison that somebody mentioned, one other person. But I know that's a bit out there. But yeah, it's so nice to be compared to such gifted and talented artists. You know, it's really inspired me. So I thank you for that comparison of the Weeknd and Quincy Jones. I'm very touched and flattered by that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I think truly not only is it your talent, but it's your ability to connect with people because you and I have never actually met in person. We've only connected
No.
online.
Yeah.
And I am thinking that probably a lot of these artists and producers that you've worked with, you probably have not met in person either.
Yes, you're so right about that. A lot of them are like either in the US or I think there's another guy from Bangladesh and different parts of the world, like mostly Europe, US, and yeah, I think Bangladesh was the other countries, right? So it's been amazing. I met a lot of, and I think that's been another blessing in the pandemic, meeting yourself, Liz, being able to connect with you and other people as well, like other different talented artists that are talented in their own way and talented producers and just, yeah, a lot of different people. So I kind of, in a way, the pandemic has been a blessing and a curse. A blessing in a sense with, of course, connecting with such great people. And then the curse where, a lot of people are going through some challenging times. So, it's been an interesting time, actually.
Well, creatively speaking, and I guess emotionally, intellectually, with the state of things right now as they are, I timestamped Planet Lizzdom because it really did start, during the second lockdown last year, I think. I'm starting to have trouble keeping up. Approaching possibly, another one of those and this Omicron situation and everything going on,
Oh, yes.
Where are you at creatively now in the state of things? I mean, here you have Facts Over Feelings, and I know that you're plugging it everywhere and promoting it. Where are you at emotionally with this?
Yeah, I'm, right now where I am at with it is that I feel that, it's great because it's starting to get around, but I feel like it's to a point where I want to continue to push it just so it gets a little bit more airs on it as well. Even though, I'm really impressed of how it's gone for the first couple of months. I'm really impressed of how everything has. So creatively, I'm still kind of in that sector of talking a little bit about the facts over feelings. And, I dabbled again a little bit in hip hop. Like I did a song called "Stop Talking." It was a hip hop song I recently recorded. I haven't released it or anything yet, so I dabbled there, and I actually did a country song that with an artist. I collaborated with a country artist just to mix it up a little bit. So I continue to just want to experiment and expand. And a lot of people like in the industry, they say you have to pick a lane. Like you can't be multi-genre. You have to be either
Right.
pop or hip hop, or you know what I mean. And I feel like that's kind of limiting the purpose, right? Because when you even look at something like a smartphone, it takes pictures, it's a camera, it does multiple things, even though the origin is a phone, but it does so many things, right? So that's how I kind of look at music as well, right? Not to be stuck in a box. And if there's something you want to try out, why not? Right?
Absolutely. I keep getting that with Planet Lizzdom as well. People want me to choose a genre, pick a lane, what do you want to focus on?
Yeah.
Makeup, do you want to focus on music? And what kind of music? And I'm really kind of, I think it's insulting to the viewer to think that or the listener, that they only want one thing. I think,
Yeah.
we are dealing with a generation that has a much more sophisticated palette
Yes.
for music, for media, for technology. And I think, as much as we want to pursue those views and, focus the hashtags, I think you're absolutely right. I think we need to have a little more diversity, a little more variety.
Yes.
You're
Exactly.
allowed to choose as many lanes as you want, I think,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that's another reason why I find your music very radio playable, because it's not boring.
Thank you.
Like at least we have all heard that track played to us by someone we know, and you just sit there and you're like, nice. And you're like, how do I pretend that I like this when I don't?
Yeah. I've been there before.
And you're just like, this is really horrible.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they are truly a good friend to you, you find a constructive way to talk about it. But
Yeah.
very often people get mired in this mode of only one true way, or only one right way, only one lane.
Yeah.
I'm so over it. Boring.
Exactly. That's why we connect. That's why we connect so well, Liz, because you have that same mindset, right? Like, why one lane? Why limit yourself, right? If you can have
Absolutely.
multiple lanes, why not, right? You have more options, you have more choices. And I feel like that's important to have multiple choices, right?
Absolutely. Do you remember those multiple choice books when we were kids, where you're
Yeah.
like choose your own adventure, like, well,
Oh, yes.
if you choose choice A, you're going to fall off the bridge. If you choose choice B, you're going to drive over the bridge. If you choose choice C, throw the book behind you.
Yes. Oh, I remember those books. Oh, those are classics. Like,
Right? And I
it's
feel like
great.
creatively we should still be able to choose our own adventure.
Well said.
That being said, with Facts Over Feelings, Groove was a really amazing video that I just played, and I really hope that you do more like that. Do you
Thank you.
have any plans for videos for your tracks from this album?
Yes. So there's one called Women in Power, which is a song about empowering women. And I'm planning to actually, do a video for that, because there's so many women in the world that are successful in a lot of different ways, in like corporate career or having their own businesses, but it doesn't really get talked about much, right? Like, I feel like it would be good to shed a light on that. So that's actually one video I want to do, is like, just have different women in different fields, like whether it's sports or working out at the gym or businesses, right? Just that would be one video for sure. And then the other one was I was talking to a director, and he's also a good friend of mine, Dave. We go back in high school. Like, he did my first ever video when I was rapping, called Start to End. And we're planning on working together. Like, he wants to do a video for a song called Cancel Culture. So yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Right. And it's what we're going through right now, right? Like, a lot of things are being canceled, and people are very fragile for certain things that are said nowadays. You can't really have an opinion without somebody getting offended, right? So I thought cancel culture would be a good one. And then the other one people seem to like is called Therapy.
Yes. Oh, really great track. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. So people have been requesting I do a video for that song as well. So I'm definitely planning now. I know the lockdown looks like it's coming amongst us. So I'm just trying to figure out dates and times, but definitely in the new year, there are going to be more videos down the line.
Awesome. Because, your music is just so, there's a flow to it, and you travel with it, and again, I grew up in music, in theater and dance and ballet and all of it. So I have a tendency to nerd out, but your music travels, you definitely take us on a journey. And I feel like I'm in a different place mentally and emotionally at the end of each track, which I think is very, very unique in that sense as well, because there isn't a lot of growth in music right now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that feedback. It's really fun just to kind of experiment and deal with different sounds, right? Because you never know who it will connect with, right? And I guess that's how I got the name Galexxzee. Is kind of because I'm pretty much all over the world with different ideas, or like my mind is always running, and people are like, I haven't heard anything like this. You're out of this world, or your style's out of this world. So that's how I came up with the name Galexxzee. Like Griff has always been my name. Okay. And there's when I starting to get back into the industry, I went from DCG because people kept forgetting the letters of my original name. They're like, well, is it DCE or P? Right? So I'm like, just Griff. And then I found out there's like another Griff. It's a female artist in the UK. And her name is Griff. So I was like, I guess I can't just call myself Griff. So that's where the Galexxzee came from. Friends were like saying, wow, your stuff, your harmonies are out of this world. And then I think out of this world, planets. I'm like, Galexxzee, and that's how the name came across. Just that. And I love to experiment. My engineer, TJ, he always says, oh, that's next level. Like he always says that when we're in studio, when we work together, and we love to experiment a lot. So that was also where it came from as well.
That's awesome. I love that you love to experiment. I'm such a believer in the power of process, and I think experimentation is where it's at. And sometimes necessity is the most beautiful mother of invention. That's how I came to Planet Lizzdom, because someone took Lizzdom, the URL, and I was like, well, I need to have a website. And I realized, well, I'm from another planet. I'm an alien, so Planet Lizzdom, and here we are, Griff Galexxzee, Planet Lizzdom. There we go.
Yes, perfect match. Perfect match. I love it. This is great. This is awesome.
Oh, Griff, I'm so excited for what you're creating. Do you ever feel like, and I ask this of all my artists who are my guests, do you ever feel like you're living history? Like you're living something you're going to talk about 20 years from now in Rolling Stone magazine?
Absolutely, right. Because right now, like, I don't know how many multi-genre artists are out there, right? And for me, one of my actual goals is, which I'm not sure if it's been done in history yet, is to be at least the top 40 in 4 or 5 different categories. So whether it's like hip hop, country, pop, K-pop. I'm actually talking to somebody, a distribution company in Korea. They liked a song called Facts Over Feelings and Positive. So they might try to distribute those songs out there. So, I'm just really trying to spread across multiple genres and have at least top 40 tracks in at least 4 or 5 different genres. That's actually one of my goals, as an artist. So I feel that would be pretty cool to have in the history books.
World tour time. Is there any place on your bucket list that you would love to perform?
Oh yeah. One of the places, I know, New York. Like I've been to New York maybe like a couple of times, and just the Madison Square Garden is like a huge stage. So that's one place I would like to go to. Another place would be even where my origins are from, Ghana, West Africa, where, the culture there is so amazing and the people are very kind, and, it'd be a great way to give back to that community, because there's a lot of villages there. There's areas, of course, where, a lot of people were successful, but then there are other areas where people may not have clean drinking water. So just to be able to go there and give back to that community, that would be like another place on my bucket list. And, just different parts of the world, even Europe, like the UK, London, that's another place in the world I would love to perform. Right.
Oh, that's wild. Well, and I feel like you have really developed such a global family that no matter where you go, you're going to have family there with you to celebrate and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Now, very quickly, I'm realizing that we haven't even touched on this yet. You have this amazing track called Merry Christmas, Happy New Year that you've sent me. And I would really, really love to play it just so, it is the day before Christmas Eve. I think we need to play this track and
Awesome.
Introduce everybody to this. So yeah, here's Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, everybody.
What you see, what it is what you get. Did my research on the internet. Been good all year, Santa show respect. I believe in you, though we never met. Been up all night, never slept. Santa is real, wanna bet. It's better to give than even get. Wish Christmas all year, never sick of it. Christmas tree candy cane with the peppermint. This year had a really good temperament. This year been a really good gentleman. Open fire, wood burning, love the smell of it. Best season, that settles it. Christmas never fails, always relevant. Best season, that settles it.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I just want to even share. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I just want to even share.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Yeah. I just wanna give and share.
Oh, don't wanna waste all this time. That's why I like shopping online. Not receiving, I'm always buying. Can't believe it's that time. Every year it's always flying. When it ends, it's a shame. Not playing no reindeer games. Straight up, that's how it goes. I like red like Rudolph's nose. I'm a giver, can't you tell? I should be one of Santa's elves. Raise a glass, you should cheers. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I just want to even share. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I just want to even share.
This is your boy Griff Galexxzee. I want to wish you and your loved ones a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Enjoy the holiday season. I'm out.
Aw, Griff, I don't think it gets any better than that. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah.
What is one wish for Christmas that you want for this year for yourself and your loved ones?
Oh, that's a very good question. One thing I would want, like, just for my loved ones, friends, family, is to be able to be fulfilled in life and just feel happy, right? And satisfied where they're at in life, right? Because, life is one of those things, it throws a lot of different curveballs and different events happen. Life always happens. And one thing I just wish for everybody is just to be happy, joyful, and, just feel fulfilled, right? I feel that's very important.
Those are beautiful wishes, Griff. And I honestly wish for you to enjoy all the fruits of your labor. I want you to enjoy all the success that's coming your way, because I truly believe this is the start of something very, very great. I'm so honored to have had you on the show tonight, and this is truly one of the greatest gifts I've had. It's been a really rough Christmas, and I'm just so glad to be with you here tonight. So thank you so much for being with us. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. And I'm so excited for the future for you. I cannot wait to see what you come up with next.
Well, thank you so much, Liz. And it's been an honor to be here with you, and a blessing for me as well. So the feelings are definitely mutual. I really appreciate you. And thank you so much for having me on. I'm very honored.
Thank you so much, Griff. I wish I could, spend the next 3 hours chatting with you, but I do have to wrap it up. Guys, I want you to, again, before I forget, please go to Instagram, start following Griff Galexxzee so you can be up to date on everything he's doing, and go to Spotify. Get Facts Over Feelings. You are going to love it. I absolutely guarantee there's going to be at least one track that you're going to connect with and want to listen to over and over and over again. Griff, thank you so much. Be well, and I'll see you soon, okay?
See you soon. Thanks again, Liz. It's been an honor. It's my pleasure. Thank you. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody and yourself and your family.
Thank you so much. Right back at you.
Thank you.
And guys, as always, I want to thank you for being an amazing audience. You guys give me so much life. And I'm so happy to always tell you that this show is syndicated on Carney Show on Twitch on Fridays at 8 p.m. Please go check it out. Jeff with a G is making amazing content. I can never say enough about him. He has this wonderful show called The Devil's Hour that I encourage you to watch as well. And he's also doing a lot of live performances of The Devil's Hour. So go follow him on Twitch, Carney Show. It's really, really awesome. And if you love what I'm doing, please be my patron. I'm creating some really great new benefits for 2022, so stay tuned. I will be launching them on my premiere of my new episode, January 6, 2022, where one of my favorite Canadian celebrities will be joining me. I'm still going to keep that a secret, but I will definitely let you know in the advertisements coming up. In the meantime, I do wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. You guys give me so much life. I say that every single time, and I'll say it over and over and over again. I wish you all the very best, and I hope that Santa spoils you a little bit, and that 2022 is a year of wonderful, beautiful surprises. Be well, everybody. I love you very much, and I will see you very, very soon. And remember to always tune in, turn on, and take part, because you never truly know just who's going to land right here on Planet Lizzdom. And if I could find my outro, I would play it for you, but it disappeared on me. There we go. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next week.